Hello! So I'm going to start off with a quick disclaimer. They are currently doing construction. I think it's above, below, and either side of me, so you're going to hear something, and I think it's like a jackhammer. I don't even know, so I apologize in advance for that. Today I did a Mauve Smoky Eye, starting at the inner corner, and it kind of extends out into a deep, darker purple. It should be relatively easy. I'm still learning myself how to do some eyeshadow, so any tricks or tips that you have yourself, I am so open to. I would love to hear. Just let me know below, and that would be great. So just a couple things I want to say before I start. This is the palette, that I'm using for my eyes. This one I put together myself on the Morphe website. I picked out single eyeshadows and I bought the Z palette with it, and then I put it together. Just let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your likes, and if there's any dislikes. Open to constructive criticism. So please let me know what you think of the video below, and subscribe if you'd like to see some more. Thank you! So I'm going to start with a fresh face that I've lotioned about 20 minutes before doing my makeup. I'm going to use the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer in Original, and I'm going to just rub that with my fingers all over my eyelids and bringing that up towards my eyebrows. Next, I'm going to be prepping my eyes by using the eyeshadow Glisten, and I'm going to use a standard fluffy brush from Japanese because this one doesn't have a name, and that's going to go all over my eyelid just to make sure that my primer is not tacky anymore before I go in with the actual colors that I want to use for the look. Then you're going to see me go in with that same fluffy brush and use the color Cafe Macchiato. I'm going to use this as my transition color. I'm going to put it all over my lid, not focusing on the inner corners, but I am going to put a little bit of product there. I'm going to use windshield swiping motions and circular motions just to make sure that's well blended. And I'm banging off the excess product on my brush. Now I'm going to go in with the color Granite. This is a really pretty purple with just light shimmer, not a lot of sparkle. And I'm going to put that on the outer corners just to build up the color. I like to do this with any looks that I do are kind of purpley already. I usually do more of a neutral brown base. I feel that it kind of brings the color out more. So also I'm just going to use that same fluffy brush that I was using earlier for the transition color. Then I'm going to use that same brush again, and I'm going to use the color Secretive, and I'm going to apply that just over top of that color I just put in there, the Granite, just to make it more of the deepy purple. This one isn't sparkly, it's more of just a matte color with maybe a hint of shimmer, not like the other color I just used. And then I'm just going to blend that in and make sure that it fades into lighter on the inner corner of the eye. Then I'm going to grab another Japanese brush. This one just isn't as fluffy and the bristles are a little tighter. It again doesn't have any name. And I'm going to go in with the two colors Pink Silk, which looks a little bit more purpley than pink to me, and then the color Bridesmaid. I'm just going to mix that because I didn't want one that light and I didn't want one that dark. So I'm going to focus this on the inner corners of my eyes, and I'm going to blend it out with the other one, and I'm trying to meet in between halfway and about 1/3 from the inner corner of my eye. And then again, just making sure that's blended and there's not any like complete line separating the two colors. You'll also see me go in again with that fluffy brush I was using and just make sure that it's well blended between the two colors. And the last color and brush I'm going to use on my eyelid here is another one from Japanese. Doesn't have a name. I believe I bought these in a kit together. That's probably why they all don't have any names. And that one just is very short, tight bristles because I wanted to put that product in a very certain location, just in that crease on my eyelid there. I'm using the color Midnight Kiss. It's pretty similar to that color Granite that I used earlier, as in it's not sparkly, but it's really shimmery and it has a lot of depth. So I'm just again putting that in the crease, and then I'm going to go back in with the fluffy brush and I'm just going to slightly kind of buff that in with little circular motions and back and forth motions to make sure that it's not just a sharp line. You'll also see quite a bit of fallout there, but that's okay, we'll wipe that off later. And with that second eye, you can see that I forgot to tap my brush off and so much product fell over to my lid. So make sure you're tapping the brush off, especially with these darker, heavier shades. I find that they have more fallout than the other ones. So now I'm just using any clean tapered brush that I had laying around just to brush away that fall out. Another thing you could do is use a makeup wipe. We haven't primed or anything, so you're not taking any product off. You could also do that if you liked. Then I'm going to go in with some eyeliner. This is called Ultra Liner by Maybelline. It's waterproof and it's just in their color black. This is my favorite one. I get it from the US and it's relatively cheap. I like it because the brush head is very small. It feels like it's only about 5 bristles, so I can get a really good clean line along there. I also freehand it. Sometimes I'll pull my eye taut. I didn't on this look. I also didn't extend the eyeliner all the way to the inner corners of my eyes because it was so light there. I thought it would be too dramatic, and I wasn't going for something with a huge pop because I knew I was going to do um, eyelashes, so I knew there would be black there later anyways. So I'm just filling that in as best I can. It's actually not my best eyeliner job. I wasn't as happy with it as I usually am when I was looking at the full look when I was all done. But that's how it goes. I'm learning and I hopefully will be better next time. Now it's time to move on to the face. I'm going to go in with Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer, sorry. And I'm going to put that all over my face, not really concentrating under my eyes because I use a separate primer in that area. Then you're going to see me go in with the Benefit Professional Primer. It's a really good primer for minimizing the pores. So I put that on my problem areas. So you'll see that's on either side of my nose. That's where my largest pores are. And then also I'm going to put that on my chin. I put it there not for the pores, but I do have a lot of redness. And since this has a tint to it, I find that it just helps with an extra layer to help minimize that redness you see. Then I'm going to go in with the Benefit Puff Off Primer. It helps with puffiness under the eyes. I also have a really bad creasing and I find that it helps to keep my concealer nice and smooth and not crease up during the day. So I'm just going to rub that in, make sure everything's nice and smooth and I didn't miss any areas. Next up is my face. I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Beauty Balm. I can compare it to more of like a CC cream because it doesn't have full coverage. It's more of a sheer to a medium coverage. This one's in the shade Fair. I'm not very tan right now. So I'm just going to dot that all over my face. I find this technique works well for me because I don't miss any areas and I get more of an even coverage everywhere. So today I'm using the Morphe M439 brush to buff out my foundation. I like this one because it has a large head and it gives me a nice sheer coverage. You'll also see that I use circular buffing motions and I try to avoid swiping. That's just moving your product from one spot to another and not really spreading it out. So that's a good tip to use if you're going to be using this kind of brush. You'll also see that I don't specifically go in and conceal those red dots. I have one there on my left jawline and one on my forehead. I just don't do this during a standard day look. I would if I'm going to do like a medium to full coverage makeup, and that's just my personal preference. So making sure that's all well blended and that it's all over my face. So now I'm going to go in with concealer. I'm going to be mixing two, the Naked Skin by Urban Decay in the color Fair and the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the color Custard. The Fair color was just a little too light for me, so I darkened it up with this NARS one. I'm going to put that under my eyes, down the side of my nose, and just on the base of my nose there. On my chin to cover up that redness I had mentioned, and then on my forehead as a highlight. And just a titch on the bridge of my nose as a little highlight. Now I'm going to be blending that concealer out. Today I used the beauty blender that I bought from Sephora. I also have that orange one from Real Techniques. They're both really good. I just happened to grab this one today. This beauty blender is damp, so I hold that directly under a faucet and I squeeze it a bunch of times till it almost doubles in size, and then I squeeze out all the excess. So I'm just using dabbing motions or pouncing motions, whatever you call it, and I'm going to just make sure that it's all blended and that there's no buildup anywhere. I do pounce until the product's almost dry on my face. I find that really helps with the product not settling in any of those fine lines. I'm going to work that in quite well around my eyes because like I said, I do have really bad creasing and dark circles. So I'm going to keep pouncing until I feel like that product's dry and that it's not going anywhere. And then I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of that Naked Skin concealer just because I do have really bad dark circles. So you can do more layers and you'll get more of a full coverage by the more layers you do. One thing I have found though is that if you're layering on concealer, it can end up looking cakey and then it will crease no matter how well you set it. If you find that you're just not getting the coverage that you want despite how many layers of concealer you put on, one thing that you should do is evaluate either the brand, maybe the formula isn't best for your skin type, or the color that you're using. I find naturally you tend to go to the lighter color because you think the lighter will help with the darkness, but if you have too light of a concealer, it's just too light to cover those dark circles. So you could try going up half a shade or doing what I did and just putting a little bit darker in there because it's more opaque, so I get more of a coverage, and then you can do less layers and you're less prone to the creasing and that cakey look that you can get when concealing your under eyes. Now I'm going to set my under eye using the Secret Brightening Powder from Laura Mercier and a tapered brush from Morphe. It's the M438 brush. I'm going to use the same motions I was using when I was blending it all out, and that's dabbing and not swiping. Setting is very important if you deal with creasing. I find that it really, really helps me personally. Now I'm going to set the rest of my face. I'm using the Laura Mercier loose setting powder. It's just translucent, so it doesn't add any coverage, but it just helps make your foundation and the rest of the concealer I put on just stay all day. Next up is my eyebrows, thank goodness. I'm going to start with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eyebrow Primer. I just use this before I use the dip brow. I find that the dip brow goes on easier if I prime before. And then I'm going to brush them out with a spoolie just to make sure that they're placed and in the shape that I want to before I add any product. You'll see me go in with the Must Have Angled Eyeliner Brush in the number 90. I got that at Sephora, and I'm using the Dip Brow Soft Brow Pomade. The color I use, some say that it's a little dark for me. I personally like having darker brows that kind of stand out on my face a little bit more, and that's just personal preference. When doing your eyebrows, the shape, I don't want to recommend for anyone. I think it's something that you need to sit down, look at yourself in the mirror and really analyze. Look at where's your arch, where's the end, where does it start, and just assess that. The best advice I have is to go with the natural shape of your eyebrows and don't try and alter it too much. But that being said, I've seen some amazing videos on YouTube where people don't like the shape of their brow and they can magnificently change the shape. So I haven't been able to do that. I would love more of an arch. So I avoid it, but please, if you have any tips on how to do your eyebrows, how to kind of give yourself more of a false arch using the pomade or the brow wiz, then please let me know below. I'd love to hear any tips that you guys have. Next, I'm going to be doing a very light contour, nothing crazy. I'm using the MAC sculpting powder in the color Shadester, and I'm going to use just a standard tapered brush. This one's called a blush brush from Danielle. I think I got it from Winners, and I just apply that just below my cheekbones to give me a little bit of definition, and then I'm just going to blend that out to make sure that there's no harsh lines. Then you're going to see me go in with a different brush. This one doesn't have any name, but I believe I got it from Winners. It's pretty much the same one that I was using on my cheekbones, except it's just a little bit bigger. I find that if I use a little bit bigger brush on my forehead area and along my jawline, I just get more of a blended out effect. If I use too skinny of a brush, I get too concentrated and it's harder for me to blend out. So I just buff that in up around my hairline, and then I just kind of dip down towards the sides. I don't go quite low. You'll see my hairline jets in, and I kind of don't go below that point. So just dabbing it on and then buffing it out to make sure that it's well blended. Then you'll see me go in with a small brush. This is from e.l.f. and it's called a Flawless Concealer Brush. I don't use it for concealer, I use it for contouring the sides of my nose. I'm using the powder, so I just put a tiny bit of product on the brush and then just drag that down the sides of my nose and just make sure that's blended out and that there's not really sharp lines. I also do a little bit of product just below the tip along that septum there to kind of end it and give me more of a pointed nose effect. Now I'm going to put on a little bit of blush. I'm using the Morphe palette. It's a 9B blush palette. I'm just using that one in the bottom middle. It's kind of has a purpley tone to it, so I thought it would go good with the look today. I'm just stippling that on very lightly. I used to put too much blush on, and once you do that, it's really hard to reverse it. So I start with very small amount of product and then build up from there. So now I'm going to highlight using that Becca and Jaclyn Hill collaboration called Champagne Pop. I'm not going to do anything too crazy, no strobing for me. I'm just going to apply a little bit of product onto my cheekbones there. I'm also going to put it on the nose where I applied that highlight with the concealer, and on the tip. I'm also going to put just a little bit on my forehead. I definitely don't put too much on because I do have a larger forehead, so I don't want to accentuate that too much. And the brush I'm using here is just by e.l.f. and it's a blush brush, but it works well for the highlight that I like to put on. It's not too big of a head, so I can control more of where I want it to go. So now I'm going to put on my false eyelashes. These ones are just from Walmart. I got like a pack of 5 for $15, and I don't even have the package anymore, so I can't tell you the name. If I figure it out, I will let you guys know. I'm using the Duotone Dark Glue. I don't suggest using this if you're just starting out. It does dry black, so if it gets on your lid, you're kind of in trouble. So stick to the other one they sell, and it dries nice and clear, so there shouldn't be any issues. I do use the dark one because I do like the look it gives, but I really get upset with myself when I get it all over my lid, which does happen, I promise. Now I'm going to go back in with just a little bit more of that Smashbox mascara just to coat my natural lashes because they are blonde, so you can usually see them under the false lashes. And also this kind of helps just seal the false lashes to my natural lash, which helps them from falling out, which is always a good thing. Then I'm going to go back in with a little bit more eyeshadow here. I'm going to use the color Nuts for You and Bridesmaids. That's the same one I used earlier. And I'm just going to mix those two on the end of a pencil brush, tap off the excess, and I'm just going to apply this to my bottom lashes just to give me a little bit of definition and kind of open up my eye some. Then I'm going to go in with eyeliner here. This one's from Sephora and it's a long-lasting kohl pencil, and it is in the shade, let me see here, Infinity Beige. I like using a beige as opposed to a white because I find that it's more natural. The white kind of just looks too white for me. You'll see me over there, you won't see it, but I'm actually holding the eyeliner over an open flame, not in the flame, just over it. It really softens it up quite nicely, and it makes it go on way smoother so you don't have to work it as much. I'm also going to apologize for the angle right now. I'm still learning where the camera angles are, so I do dip out of frame, and I apologize for that. But it's just going on my bottom lash line there. And then I'm just going to do a very, very light coat of mascara on my bottom lashes, just to add a little bit of pop. And that's on the outer half of my lashes where I applied that eyeshadow there. Now just a little bit of lipstick. This is Gerard Cosmetics collaboration with Manny from YouTube called Serenity, and it is a Hydra Matte liquid lipstick. It's a really, really beautiful shade. It's one of my favorites. He had a discount code, and I believe it was like 40% off, so quite a good price for this lipstick. I do really like the formula. It's not too thick, and it had a really good wear throughout the day. I'm apologizing again for the camera angles. I kind of dip out of there. I didn't do anything crazy, no overlining, just kind of followed my natural lip line. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is set my makeup using the Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. So just spraying that so I get a nice even layer on my face, and then letting that dry before I do anything. So that's it. You've made it to the end, and I hope you really enjoyed this makeup tutorial. I'd love to hear what you think, and if you have any ideas for videos or any tips for the makeup or any way to make my video better, that would be great. So thanks again. Let me know what you think, like, and subscribe. See you later.